Saudi Arabia shows no signs of toning down its rhetoric against Iran. On Thursday, Saudi Foreign Minister once again accused Tehran of playing a negative role in the Middle East. Riyadh has leveled similar accusations against the Islamic Republic many times in the past months.
Any way you look at it, they're the ones who are acting in an aggressive manner. We are reacting to that aggression and saying enough is enough. We're not going to let you do this anymore.
Analysts believe they are ill-equipped to go to war against Iran and Hezbollah, as they are already bogged down in Yemen, where they are stuck in a quagmire. According to this theory, Riyadh is instead counting on the US and its ally Israel to drag Washington into a war.
You see, with this idea of trying to bring the United States of America there, and the idea is floating, Israel and Saudi Arabia suddenly have found common cause, which is against Iran.
The Saudis have also formed an alliance with Israel, which is no longer tacit. In unprecedented comments, Israel's military chief of staff has said Tel Aviv is ready to work with Saudi Arabia to counter, quote, Iran's plan to control the Middle East. Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot also said Israel is ready to share information with the Saudis if necessary. He referred to what he described as common interest between the two regimes.
Again, want to say, if they want to share intelligence, they are not the first time to share intelligence and to be militarily active together. The point, which is the Israelis and the Saudis were together in a war, partners. It was in Yemen, and that's in the 60s.
The administration of US President Donald Trump has had cordial relations with both Israel and Saudi Arabia. Trump has approved of Israel's aggression against Palestinians and its threats against Iran. He has also sided with the Saudis vis-à-vis the Islamic Republic.
While they're urging caution, Trump is basically announcing publicly that he has full faith in what the Crown Prince is doing, and that is to go after Iran. And his notion is to create as much. This is their solution to the Middle East problem, and that is to unite with Israel, Egypt, and go after any semblance of what they believe is Iranian expansion.
Israel's military chief of staff said in his remarks, quote, with President Donald Trump, there is an opportunity for a new international alliance in the region and a major strategic plan to stop the Iranian threat, unquote. Eisenkot made his comments regarding the alliance with the Saudis in an interview with a Saudi newspaper. Observers say the interview in itself is big news, as it's the first time an Israeli official speaks to a Saudi paper.
Both want to have the United States back in the area. They would love to see the United States of America launching a military campaign against Iran. Historically, none of these states ever managed to wage a war on anybody by themselves or alone. They need the backing of the United States of America, directly or indirectly, and many allies and many mercenaries. Even if I want to even hint at what the Israelis even saying now and telling left and right and centers in their interview.
Some experts also maintain that winds of war in the region might be turning into a full-blown storm. Iran has already dismissed threats against the country, saying it's ready to give a crushing response to any aggression against it.
The situation in Yemen is inching toward a total catastrophe. It is now on the brink of a total collapse. Saudi Arabia has been bombing Yemen since 2015. The country has been under a blockade since then. But recently, Saudi Arabia has decided to up the ante against the people in Yemen by imposing a strict naval, land and air blockade on the poor Arab country. That has prompted 3 UN agencies to call on Saudi Arabia and its allies to lift the embargo.
We have the necessary fuel reserves to make our program for children in Yemen function until the end of November. But running out of fuel would affect a whole series of programs, whether it be distribution of water, health clinics, or treatment of wastewater. As far as vaccines are concerned, we have a 1-month stock of vaccines for children. If we don't receive additional vaccines in a short time, 1 million children won't be able to be vaccinated against polio and measles, which is a disease that kills children.
In a joint statement, the heads of the World Food Programme, the United Nations Children's Fund, and the World Health Organization have warned that the blockade could kill untold thousands in the near future. The cost of this blockade is being measured in the number of lives that are lost. Together, we issue another urgent appeal for the coalition to permit entry of life-saving supplies to Yemen in response to what is now the worst human crisis in the world.
WHO and other humanitarian agencies need immediate humanitarian access to Yemen. The country is still facing the world's largest cholera outbreak, and 7 million people are on the brink of famine, including some 2 million severely malnourished children.
The situation in Yemen is desperate. A brief look at the numbers will reveal the scale of the disaster there. 7 million Yemenis are on the brink of famine. Without urgent aid, the number could grow by 3.2 million. At least 1 million Yemeni kids are threatened by a fast-spreading diphtheria. The lives of 400,000 pregnant women and their babies are at risk due to lack of medicine. Over 900,000 cases of cholera have been reported in Yemen. The disease has killed 2,200 people. Aid groups say 130 children are dying in Yemen every day from extreme hunger and disease.
Clearly, the Western power structure, including the financial structure, does not care at all. This should surprise no one. When have they ever cared about having an ethical and humanitarian foreign policy?
Is this not enough for the international community to punish Saudi Arabia for its war crimes in Yemen? UN officials say Saudi Arabia has blocked 29 vessels with 300,000 tons of food and 192,000 tons of fuel.
Terrible humanitarian disaster, one of the worst of the modern era, that is completely man-made, designed in the Saudi war rooms and being authored by the Saudi warcraft.
They say the much-needed aid could alleviate the suffering of crisis-hit people in Yemen. Saudi Arabia and its allies started the aggression against Yemen in 2015. The war has been detrimental to the country. Yemen's infrastructure is in total ruins.
The United States hasn't shown any care for any humanitarian purposes whatsoever. The rhetoric should not fool anyone. The US only cares how much they can sell to people, and if they're big medical companies, the big pharma can sell drugs to countries and pretend to be humanitarian.
Hospitals, factories, schools, gas stations, and bridges have been leveled to the ground. The United States, the UK, and France have filled the kingdom's arsenal with brand new Western weapons. And yet, world bodies, including the United Nations, have failed to punish the real sponsors of this war.